I mean, it was just make a good movie. You know what I mean? And it was very much like a massive project. You know, it's like eating the elephant. You gotta do it one bite at a time. So you just focus on what you gotta shoot that day. You know, focus on getting to the bottom of the scene, being there for the actors, and really trying to tell the best story we could tell. Because we figured, you know, first things first, it's got to work as a movie, and that's hard enough to do. You know,
I think one of the delights in this movie is the strong female presence.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, many of the females are extremely excited about the female characters in this film, and I just found it interesting, once again, how much shine they chose to give his sister. It's very obvious to me, and brothers, watch out for this. In Avengers Infinity War, I guarantee you that there will be a scene in Avengers Infinity War where the Black Panther sister, Shuri, is in a laboratory with Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, and also Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, the inventor of the Ant-Man technology. She's going to be in a laboratory with them, and she's going to be schooling them. I guarantee you. And why is that? That's all for you, so-called black men. That's to puff the head of the black woman up to believe that I'm smarter than the so-called black man, because they know in real life they're not going to tolerate any nonsense from the so-called black woman, but they want her to take all that arrogance home to you. They want her to take that pomposity to you in quote-unquote relationships. That's really what that was about. You're not going to find another so-called superhero, and the Black Panther himself is supposed to be a genius. You're not going to find another so-called superhero where they will have his sister or a woman be the brains behind what he's doing. That was to indirectly push that the quote-unquote Black Panther is the brawn, the man is the brawn, the woman is the brains. But that is for the so-called black community. And that's not to say that they don't depict strong female characters that are Caucasian in Marvel movies. They do. They have the Black Widow. They had Gwyneth Paltrow's character in Iron Man, so on and so forth. But this really went overboard. Some of the scenes, like the scene where they had this character here, the lead general in the Dora Milaje, make her husband, played by Daniel Kaluuya, bow down to her. It was so transparent. It was so transparent. And once again, that is in order to have a trickle effect in the rapport between the black man and black woman, to make the so-called black woman believe that she is the brains and you are the brawn and she has the right to dictate to you.
Now,
girl power,
women bodyguards, his mother, younger sister is the tech genius.
Yes, younger sister's the tech genius, as I've already stated. Batman, Iron Man, Ant-Man, they all invented their own stuff. But the Black Panther has to have his little sister do it for him.
Why was that so important to add that as part of this film?
Well, I mean, a lot of that is there in the comic books. You know, the Black Panther comic books have been around for over 50 years.
Well, that's true. But the concept of having an all-female bodyguard was invented by a black comic book writer named Christopher Priest. It's always a so-called black man who decides that he wants to put his woman over him. That's why I laugh at this nonsense about how so-called black men do not respect black women. The so-called black man puts his woman on a pedestal that no other race of men put their woman on. The original Black Panther, created by Stan Lee, did not have an all-black female bodyguard. But it was two so-called black men, Christopher Priest and then Reginald Hudlin, who decided that they were going to create black female characters that were going to become eventually antagonistic to the Black Panther. That's why I say that the so-called black man is Confederate in his own downfall. He's scared to be a king. He always has to put a woman over him. It's great to have a strong woman. Her job is to support you. When you look at Lupita Nyong'o's character, as I stated, she was an agent of chaos throughout the whole film. She was more concerned with the maintenance of the life of the Caucasian CIA operative, right, than she was anything else. Even damn near to the point of T'Challa. T'Challa had to run around asking her to be with him the whole film. He's the damn king of Wakanda. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? You the king of Wakanda, you got to beg abroad for a date. He was supposed to have told Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character, look, tonight we having some grilled antelope and some barbecue elephant. Be at my castle at 7. Wear the dress I bought you and wear that crown that I like you to wear. I'll see you at 7. This is not a debate. This is not a discussion. I will see you at 7. That's what be all that there was to it. And let me say this too. in regards to the Dora Milaje, that is also to subconsciously promote the quote-unquote Black Lesbian Matter movement, or as is known today, the Black Lives Matter movement, to militarize the so-called black woman in America, to make her think that she should be at the vanguard, at the forefront of any form of black militancy. Once again, brothers, you have to be very, very aware of the images that are pushed on our people, particularly here in America, but they're also working on the brains of many of the native Africans as well, to push them more into a westernized state of mind. But most of these images are really meant more for the so-called black man and woman here in America, because whatever our people do here tends to infiltrate, tends to influence the people of color all across the world. So even the character of Shuri in the comic, she was actually created by a black man named Reginald Hudlin to be the competition for T'Challa to eat the heart-shaped herb and become the Black Panther herself. This is what I mean when I say a lot of these guys, these so-called black male comic book writers, they're number simps, man. That's all that they are. And again, when I state that the so-called black man, that he's been very supportive of the image of the so-called black woman. A black male is intimidated by the woman. A black man is not intimidated by the black woman. I'm sure that there'll be many sisters who listen to this video, many so-called black women who will say, well, how could he say that black men treat us well? Look at what they do here, 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 and here, and a million other heres. In reality, a black man knows how to deal with the woman. The black male has an issue dealing with the woman. Those are the guys who run around beating down women and committing domestic violence or abuse against them, not understanding what to do with their children, so on and so forth. So please understand the distinction between a man and a male. All right?
Years. And amazing writers have been adding to him. You got Christopher Priest, Reginald Hudlin, Ta-Nehisi Coates is writing the books now.
3 simps. Christopher Priest, Reginald Hudlin, and Ta-Nehisi Coates. 3 simps who worship the feminine principle, all 3 of them. Christopher Priest, he's also a so-called black man. He brought back the Black Panther in the mid-90s. And as I stated, he's the one who came up with the concept of the Dora Milaje. And when you do any research on Christopher Priest, he considers himself a Baptist minister. And he adheres to an interpretive methodology of reading the Bible, meaning what? He doesn't particularly care what it says. He's more interested in converting many of the lessons of the Bible to conform to the Luciferian principles of this world. So that's the real reason why he introduced the Dora Milaje. And as I've stated, yes, they are based in a historical all-female fighting unit, but the concept of the Dahomey Amazons is not like how they know the effect of the Dora Milaje is going to have on the mindset of many of the modern females today. As I've stated, it's really meant to foster and promote the so-called Black Lesbians Matter movement. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
And the women of Wakanda have always been a focal point in the books. And it was very interesting to us and everybody at Marvel Studios in terms of making the film distinct that way and really
Now, did you hear what he said? He said it was really interesting to us and Marvel Studios. In other words, what? Marvel is the company that told him, you make sure that you quote unquote empower the women. Let me rewind that one more time.
Really telling the story. And the women of Wakanda have always been a focal point in the books. And it was very interesting to us and everybody at Marvel Studios in terms of making the film distinct that way and really telling.
No, bro. You decided that you were going to make this film, and they told you that you're going to stick to this outline. That's what happened, brother. And you're a phenomenally talented director. You're a brilliant brother. Hopefully, you're not delving too much into that Luciferianism, and if so, hopefully you repent. But just gauging your talent, you're a phenomenally talented brother. Brilliant insight, great vision. But let's be for real. Marvel gave you an outline, and they said this is what you're going to stick to. Make sure that you include a lot of prominent females, and you said no problem, okay. You know why? Because you're quote-unquote pro-black, and you agree with the sentiment of putting the woman on a pedestal over you. And this is why I stated that the black man does not want to be king. And that's why they mocked him in the movie when they had more than one female character tell Michael B. Jordan's character of Killmonger that you're not fit to be king, you're too angry. What were they saying? You're too emotionally driven. That's the so-called black man in America, and he tries to compensate for his over-emotionality by being overly deferential to the image of the black woman. What the black woman's waiting for you to do is to discipline yourself so that you can discipline her. That's what it's about. It's not about allowing her to be in a prominent position. Now, when the time for discipline comes for the so-called black woman, she's going to throw the worst tantrum that's ever been seen in the history of the planet Earth. But it's going to be good for her, and it's going to be what's needed for our people. Bottom line. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. Once again, for you brothers who read the scriptures, compare the rapport between T'Challa and his sister Shuri to Moses and his sister Miriam. If you remember in Numbers, the 12th chapter, Miriam actually tries to start an insurrection against Moses because she was on that female empowerment, I can do whatever a man could do shit. What did she say? She told her brother Aaron, she said, has the Most High spoken only through Moses? He's spoken through us also. Why is that? Because Miriam was a prophetess. But she actually thought that she was on par with Moses. And the Most High had to show her, no, you're not on par with Moses. And what did he do? He struck her with leprosy. He took away her skin color. And that is actually what leprosy is, by the way. It's when you lose your skin pigment. It's what's known today as vitiligo. It was known back then as leprosy. What they've done is they've taken the word leprosy and now they've applied it to a whole different disease to throw off what it actually is. But when you read Numbers, the 12th chapter, it tells you right there what it is. It's when you lose your skin pigment. That's another way to show that the Israelites of the Bible were and still are black. But that's neither here nor there. Point being is this: the Most High struck Miriam with leprosy to show her that she has to know her place. Yes, you're a beautiful woman. You're a prophetess. Know your place. And there are no prophetesses today because we're not in the time of prophecy. We're in the time of the fulfillment of prophecy. Now, Aaron was confederate with her, but the Most High did not strike him with leprosy. Why is that? Because it was already predestined that he was going to be the high priest. And a priest cannot be leprous. He cannot have a spot or a blemish. So it was already known what he was going to be. Point being is that Miriam had to be shut down. Now we live in a topsy-turvy world, so they take the woman and they put her over the man. And the woman is not going to lead any form of revolution. It's just not going to happen. But that's why they keep pushing her to the forefront, because they know as long as the woman is at the front, our people are never going to have any real change.
Telling a story about the African community.
And they choose country over love.
Absolutely. I mean,
Now, did you see what Nora O'Donnell wanted to highlight? She loved the scene when the leader of the Dora Milaje turned on her husband and made him bow. You see that, brothers? This is what they concentrate on because that's what they want to accentuate in the so-called black community. Look at Gail with that stupid-ass smirk on her face. Whenever females who can't keep a man feel like they like what they see in a movie, that should tell you that it's not for you. That should tell you that it's not for you. Now, we know Gail hasn't had a man since, Jimmy Carter was in office. And Nora O'Donnell, she claims to be married, but this bro, you could tell she's nothing but an industry hoe, allegedly. All right, but we already know how they get down. But when they start promoting things like that, that imagery was very emasculating. It was very demeaning to the image of the so-called black man. And I say that because even though those people are Hamitic, the energy is meant to be transported to all people of color across the world. Woman, rise up against the man and make him bow down before you. Very, very, very powerful imagery that brothers have to be very aware of.
It's just, the whole film, if we did it right, it should exist in a gray area, where people have to make difficult choices. You're talking about, a fictional African country.
I'm happy he said that. I hope that y'all out there heard that. Wakanda is fictional. Okay? It's fiction. Niggas out there act like they're looking for plane tickets to go to Wakanda. They should make a real, they should make like a real little city state of Wakanda right over there in Eastern Africa, just so that niggas can go back and act like they're going to repatriate back there. Just so that they can get their feelings hurt. They fly over there and say, hey, I'm back in my homeland. This is not your homeland. You are not Wakandan. Just give us your money and take your ass back home. What do you mean? We all black, ain't we? Who cares? We are not all black. I'm Wakandan, you're not. Pull down your bottom lip. Nigga pull down his bottom lip. You don't have to tattoo. Your gums are black. You smoke weed. Get out.
Where all of the characters are very patriotic. You know, they support their country, they believe in it. But they find themselves in the film and they're trying to figure out exactly where it's going to go.
You said last night that this was one of the most important movies to you. This is your third movie, and that you wanted to go to Africa to discover what. What were you looking for, and how did that influence how you did this?
You see that? She's operating the flying craft via Merkaba. All right? Meaning spiritual energy to fly the craft.
Did this movie?
I mean, I was looking for a sense of my own personal identity, you know, as an African-American man.
What's this chick named? Angela Bassett, who, by the way, who Whitney Houston's daughter claimed is really a man. All right, I'm not saying that. Whitney Houston's daughter said that. She said that Angela Bassett is really a man. Anyway, Angela Bassett is playing the female goddess of Nut, N-U-T, the mother of Asar. Lupita Nyong'o is playing the character of Isis, who was also not only a mother goddess archetype, but a sex goddess. That's why I state to you, brothers, she's playing the spy because that is what female spies do. They throw their vagina around. Also in the story of Osiris, when Osiris left Kemet to go teach all the other nations, Aset or Isis was left in Kemet to rule over that land. So don't be surprised to see Lupita Nyong'o in the sequel play the role of someone who is ruling over Wakanda while Asar is out on his missions with the Avengers. Don't even be surprised if she even takes the heart-shaped orb herself in a sequel. Either her or Shuri. Remember, they tried to get her to take it in this one. Once again, black men, they want to promote and push the woman as a competitor for you. They want to put thoughts in the black woman that she is your competitor, not your complement. And they use films like this to help propagate those type of subconscious or subliminal suggestions.
Man, you know, I know that my heritage is from this continent, you know, but I grew up, you know, in Oakland, in the Bay Area, thousands and thousands of miles away. Mm-hmm. You know,
brother, you don't know that. Even Isaiah Thomas knows that all so-called black people are not from Africa. You don't know that.
And this film gave me an opportunity to travel to the continent, you know, and visit several countries there, you know, and talk to folks, and it really opened up. Something about my own personal identity.
And T'Challa is going through his own identity crisis in this movie as well, right? I mean, trying to figure out he's the son of his father. This is the Black Panther.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing about T'Challa is he's inheriting, he's stepping in the shoes that are very big in his point of view. For him, his father was the greatest king.
Let me say this about the character of Eric Killmonger, because he's the new favorite amongst a lot of the, pro-blackity blacks. I already mentioned this. What Killmonger, to me, represents is everything that the internet revolutionaries wish that they were. They're trying to live through him because they wish that they had his courage. That's why I always tell these guys when they come on my channel, they start talking all that silly shit. Everybody's a coon. Everything is really this. Everything is really that. Well, nigga, how come you haven't taken that plane back to the Sudan or to Kenya or to Uganda to live there? How come you haven't done that? How come you haven't started the race war? That's why I tell cats that. Because, brothers, I think 5, 6, 7 steps, down the line. Like, I don't argue with people because, to me, an argument is just two people trying to represent their emotions. They're two-dimensional emotions. We can have a discussion or a debate, but I'm going to get right to the nitty-gritty. If you're that angry, how come you have not either started the race war or have left to go back to where you claim you from? You claim you from the motherland, right? How come you haven't gone back there? Don't tell me you don't have the money. Because when you get that tax return or when you save up that vacation money, y'all heading out with $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You don't tell me that you don't have enough money to go back. You don't want to go back because you know intrinsically that it's a tribal thing, not a color thing. But you want to push the color thing because you know that you don't really know anything about your own history. Those are the facts of the matter. And I see it every day I read it in the comments section oftentimes with cats who get upset with things that I say when I use the terms so-called black or pro-blacks, things of that nature. They get confused. Once again, black is not a race. Black is not a culture. Black is not a history. There's no such thing really as Black history. That's why I don't regard Black History Month. Our people are much greater than that to be limited by so-called color. All right? And what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to put the masses of the people of quote-unquote color under that mass deception that their race is black. And this film is going to be used heavily to promote that ideology. Because when you adhere to that, that leads to globalism. Because once they get all the various people of quote-unquote color to believe that their race is black, then it's just a matter of getting them to want to come together with quote-unquote whites and everybody else. And that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And once again, so-called black man, you're not the descendant of ancient Kemet. The descendants of ancient Kemet are known today as the Nilotic peoples. I brought that out in a video a very long time ago. If you want to know who the Nilotic peoples are, you can do research on the Maasai, on the Dinka, the Nuer, spelled N as in Nancy, U-E-R, the Watusi, so on and so forth. Those are the people who are the descendants today of the ancient Egyptians, or the people who are known classically as the ancient Egyptians, not you. But I know that's going to go over a lot of cats' heads because they want to hold on to this fallacy that they are one with the people of Kemet. But they told you point blank in this film, because Wakanda is a metaphor for ancient Kemet. They told you, you are not Wakandan. Okay? You're not Wakandan. But they're going to keep pushing it. Why? Because when Halloween comes on later this year, October 31st, you're going to have millions of so-called black women run into the costume store to get their son a Black Panther costume. And I'm sure that they're going to make a female version for the so-called black woman to wear. But this is why I always try to accentuate the understanding of history. History is very important. Another way that you know Wakanda is talking about ancient Kemet is that ancient Kemet was known for utilizing meteorites to create their weaponry. Read about Tutankhamun and how he had swords made for himself, made out of iron from a meteorite. And as far as the so-called historians know, the people of Kemet were not particularly adept at smelting, which is basically the art of taking iron ore and turning it into tools and weapons. They were not particularly good at that during the time period of Tutankhamun. It was not until later that they really learned how to utilize iron ore. The people who utilized iron ore the best during that time period were the Canaanites and the Hittites. One of the things that the people of Kemet learned from the Hittites in their battles was how to change, how to update their design on their chariots. But that's a whole other topic. But for those of you brothers who are interested, when you read the scriptures, you can read Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter, starting at about the 7th verse, and it tells you about the riches of the land known today as the Middle East, known back then as Israel, from the Nile to the Euphrates. And it tells you about the iron ore. It says that the rocks are like iron, meaning the region of ancient Israel had very rich deposits of iron and copper and other natural minerals. That was the reason why many of the pharaohs of Kemet wanted to conquer that land. Pharaohs like Thutmose III, so on and so forth. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see what else they have to say here. Please pay attention to the fact also that the only person that the Black Panther killed in the entire film was Killmonger, the other black man. Once again, this film was a psyop to alienate the militant black American man, to embarrass him into conforming into the globalist mindset that the Caucasian elite view the Africans have already. They don't view the Africans with the same level of threat as they do the quote-unquote African-American man, because they know that the so-called African-American man has a much higher level of vitriol for Caucasian hegemony even than the native Africans do. That is why the native Africans have representation in the UN. The sentiment is that they've been appeased And once again, that is why the film ends with T'Challa, the Black Panther, going before the UN. Remember that the Avengers are a global organization. So, of course, T'Challa near the end was going to have to come out of his hiding, of his enclave, to be a representative of the worldwide government. That's what they're trying to pull you into, so-called black men. They're trying to pull you into that global one world mentality. The character of Killmonger, his views, his perspectives have to be demonized. And he has to be demonized. But just look, as I stated, he has the leopard print helmet. They are avatars of Asar.
You know, whether you
Going to be just because you asked them, and both of them said at different times, "Are you sure we can say this in the script? Did Marvel sign off on that?" Take us behind the scenes about that, the language that you used in the story you were telling.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted the film to be authentic. You know, the Black Panther comic books were always the most political comic books in Marvel's catalog. You know, you're talking about a character who is a politician, who is an African king. You know, and that element was always there. So we did.
There goes the dichotomy between the quote-unquote African-American man who was tortured, who's been disconnected, and the native quote-unquote African. There was a form of programming, double programming, that was utilized here. Number one, to demonize the quote-unquote African-American man, but also to try to reinforce the premise that he's been cut off from Africa, even while telling you in the movie that the people of Wakanda do not view themselves to be the same as the people of America, the so-called blacks of America. Just as it states in Exodus, the 11th chapter and the 7th verse, that the Lord put a difference between the Israelites and the people of Egypt.
So we didn't want to shy away from that. You know, and I worked with Nate Moore, who was the executive producer on the project, working under Kevin Feige, who was the president of Marvel Studios, and they gave us the green light to really...
Michael B. Jordan certainly seemed to enjoy the role that he played in this movie. He definitely went knee deep, and as I stated already, the reason why Killmonger is viewed as a folk hero amongst the pro-blacks is because he has the courage that many of them wish that they had.
To really go for it. You know, it was all in the supervision of Bob Iger at Disney.
Watch out for this character here, Shuri. They have plans for her big time in the movies to come. As I stated, expect to see her in a laboratory with Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, Henry Pym, and she's going to be the one giving the orders. That is all to show the so-called black woman. When you go home with that man, you tell him what to do. He doesn't tell you what to do. And if he tries, you make sure that you raise hell.
Disney, you know, and Alan Horn as well, you know.
And in the comics, as I've already stated, Reginald Hudlin has created a dynamic where she competes with her brother to be the Black Panther.
You know, you're talking about a very brave company right now, who's very interested in in telling these types of stories.
Well, most tweeted about movie in 2018, sold out across movie theaters. Can't get tickets. Congratulations, this is awesome.
And thank you guys for the kind words.
Yeah,
What a floating right now.
Yeah.
Please enjoy this
Yeah.
ride.
Oh man, right on. Yeah, we're taking it one day at a time. We're really looking forward to sharing it with audiences.
Yeah.
We still haven't had a chance to share it with just audience.
Totally, it's not even open yet.
Yes.
People feel like
Congrats. Ryan Coogler, what a pleasure.
tour de force.
Thank you so
Congrats,
much.
Ryan. Congrats.
Black Panther opens nationwide on Friday.
Congratulations to the brother Ryan Coogler. Extremely talented. He did a great job on this film. Every actor in the film did a great job, but particularly for me, Chadwick Boseman did the best job. Some of the scenes that he was in, he was able to convey a great deal of regality. He was very regal. He was able to truly emit that energy of a king because he was measured. And this is why I stated that it was very clear to me in watching it that the director, Ryan Coogler, was without a doubt heavily influenced by the dichotomy between Caesar and Koba in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, because it was the same type of rapport. I mean, and of course also Professor X and Magneto. But I saw more Caesar and Koba, because what characters like Koba or Killmonger do is they will make a leader who is too cerebral see that he also has to get in touch with a certain amount of passion. Your leader cannot be driven solely by passion. So that's why Killmonger and Koba, even though they'll resonate with a lot of the pseudo revolutionaries, they can never make good leaders because they're warlords. After they finish conquering whoever it is that they choose to conquer, they're going to turn on their own citizens. That's what they're going to do. But what they are great for is influencing cerebral leaders to understand that sometimes you do have to allow your passion to become a part of your decision-making process. Like there was a great scene in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes where Koba is trying to communicate to Caesar that if we don't do something about the humans now, that they're going to get back to their old ways and they're going to come here and they're going to conquer us. Remember, Koba was scarred by the fact that he was trapped in a circus for many years. That's the backstory behind him. And then he was sold to the Genesis laboratories where he was experimented on. Very much like the character of Michael B. Jordan, being the descendant of quote-unquote slaves. He had a totally different understanding of humans than Caesar, who was raised in a household where he was treated a certain way. He was actually the recipient of positive reinforcement. And there's a great scene where Caesar tells Koba, we'll just let the humans get to the dam, because the humans were trying to get to the dam so that they could restore electricity in their little city in San Francisco. But Koba understood that if they were allowed to get to the dam and get their power back, they were going to eventually come outward from their city and attack the apes. And Koba looked at Caesar when Caesar made the statement about human work, how, just let the humans do their work. Koba started to point to all the scars on his body from being experimented on by the humans. And he said, human work. Human work. He pointed to a scar over his eye. He said, human work. It was a great scene. Very much like the character of Killmonger pointed to all the scars on his body from the people that he killed. So that when I saw that, it immediately registered to me that they used Dawn of the Planet of the Apes as a baseline. All right. But anyway, that is my review for the film. Great movie. You brothers, if you have not gotten a chance to see it, when you have the opportunity, you could check it out. I'm not going to see it again. I'm not one of these people going to be going back and forth to the movies to see that. I can see it on cable. To be quite frank with you, if it wasn't for so many brothers asking me to do a review of it, I would have waited to see it on cable anyway, just to avoid all that madness in the theater. Oh, and let me also say this before I forget. The character of Man-Ape, I believe his name was M'Baku. Yeah, M'Baku. He's the one who lost the first duel to T'Challa. This is another verification that the film is talking about Asar and Heru and the veneration of the sun god. M'Baku mentions Hanuman. For those of you who don't know, Hanuman is the monkey god of Hinduism. He's the Hindu version of Heru, the sun god, because the monkey is venerated in the pagan mythology because of his craftiness, his intelligence. Of course, he's known in the Kemet system as Tahuti, who's represented by the baboon. So you'll oftentimes see the same symbolic animals from culture to culture. All right, I just wanted to touch on that since that came to the forefront of my mind. But anyway, peace.